Assalamu alaikum. Today we are here in Formula, Maldives, and this is 30 of Formula. We all are proud to be here because this is what symbolizes our island the most and what differentiates the most from the islands of the Maldives. This is the place which differentiates it. Today we have here with us Professor Tariq Ramadan. Good afternoon and assalamu alaikum. So today I would like to ask you some questions. What can you tell us about your childhood? Like, how did you become a professor? How did you work to become a professor?
That's a strange question to start with, but it's an important one. Originally my family is coming from Egypt, Geneva, where I studied. First, what I did was quite interesting. I have my father who was completely in Islamic studies. He was a lawyer, but he was involved in Islamic activism from his very young age. So he was completely in this, but I was the youngest of six. So
Yes.
I had my first brother was a physician, the second was a teacher, and they went for literature. So I decided myself to study first philosophy and French literature.
Oh,
So I
yes.
did 2 masters in this first, and then what happened is that I was a teacher when I was very young, and then I started thinking about being much more involved in Islamic studies. So I went to Egypt, had also a training very traditional with shuyukh, and I got the ijazat in disciplines there. 7 of the main Islamic disciplines.
Yeah.
And then when I came back, I started teaching philosophy and Islamic studies, first in secondary schools, and then I started to be at the university in Switzerland, and then I was supposed to go to the States to be a professor there, and they prevented me from going there. On the Bush, because this was the time of the war on terror. So with no reason, I won the case against them, and the authority acknowledged the fact that I had the right to go to the States, and I ended up at Oxford, at the University of Oxford as a professor of contemporary Islamic studies. So this is a long journey from my childhood to Oxford.
Yeah, so basically I think all of us, we have to work a lot in order to reach that level. Isn't that right?
I think that what is important is whatever is the context, whatever is your personal situation. My parents were in exile. You can be poor. You can be disadvantaged in a society, disenfranchised. You can, today, there are some who are looking at us, they can be involved in drug addictions or whatever. At the end of the day, you have to take your responsibility. You have to try your best to be involved in education. So it takes effort, it takes energy, it takes commitment, but it's up to you. You can make it. It's possible. So, and for me, what was very important is that when we are with God, when you rely, the very essence of it, tawakkul ala Allah, which means I know I can do it, but with His power, with His will, His presence, I can do it. I can make it, and this is very important.
Now, what do you think is the consequence that the Muslims face today in the society? The biggest consequence? What is the biggest problem that they face today?
There are 2 things I would say. The first is internal. It's our lack of understanding of our religion. So the first is our education. How do we understand Islam? We have trends, we have a diversity. Nothing wrong with the diversity among Muslims. But when this diversity ends up being division, and when we are reacting in very formalistic way, very literalist, and then we don't understand the very meaning of Islam, which has to do with spirituality, it has to do with self-reform, it has to do with tazkiyat al-nafs, it has to do with changing yourself, it has to do with a positive presence in the world. If you don't understand this, you're not going to understand your religion. On the other side, you have other civilizations, other religions, and you have the world culture which is attracting us. So we don't know our religion, and we are attracted by trends and emotions, fashion, music, movies that have nothing to do with our ethics. We are not against arts, we are not against movies, we are against the lack of ethics in all this.
Yes.
So what we need is also to be able to face what is coming from the dominant culture, from the economic powers, with the transnational corporation in fashion, as well as in arts, entertainment, as well as the means that we have now, internet, Facebook, Twitters, all these things, they can just destroy you if you don't have an access, if you don't have a center. Who am I? What do I want to do? What do I want to achieve as a human being, as a Muslim, as a believer, as a man, as a woman? And this, what we have in the Quran is clear. الذين إن مكناهم في الأرض أقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة. Those, when we are settling them on earth, they pray and they are giving the zakat and they spread what is right and resist what is wrong. This is what we have. So these are two problems: the lack of knowledge about ourselves, attractions by the surrounding dominant culture.
What do you think is the role of youth in the society? And I mean, like, what should they do in order to like promote the society?
I think that once again, we have to be very cautious with the concept of youth and young people.
Yes.
Because at one point I had one of my friends who was talking to the youth and said, we, the young people, and he was 40 years old. So if you speak about the state of mind, the mindset to be a young mindset, that's fine. But if it means because you are young, you are refusing responsibility, that's not the way. The Prophet, peace be upon him, والسلام, was giving authority and responsibility to young people. Usama was leading an army, he was 20. Yeah. So it means that he was relying on his competence, and he was also relying on the competence of men and women within his society.
Yes.
So I would say that the responsibility of the young is to understand, look, I'm young, it means I have more responsibility because I have more energy and I have more time. And the three things that are essential as Muslims is first, your education.
Yes.
Your personal education. How much time you allocate to have a mind, to construct a thought, to think by yourself, to understand the world? How much time you allocate to understand yourself and then also to read people around you, because you have to read.
Yeah.
You have in the Quran, "Siru fil ard wanzuru," so you have to travel around the world. You have to look at this. Look at this. You have to read the sea. You have to read the sun. You have to read the nature. You have to read the science. This is so important. So a young, and especially in Maldives, this is where you have to be connected with nature and you have to be connected with knowledge. This is one. Second is to ask yourself, how am I going to be useful on earth? Because at the end of the day, we are here to be better human beings, but we have to be useful. How much are you useful? How much are you useless in this society? Are you an added value, or are you an invisible element? Do you want only money, or do you want to serve? Do you want power, and do you want power to serve? What do you want? So this is why you have to ask yourself your role within the society. And if you can be a woman, you can be a man. There is an equality here before God, and this it is in the society. You have also to be a useful person. And the last thing which is important is to be useful and to use your knowledge to be useful. You have to be open-minded. You have to look at the world. In the Quran, we are using one verse to tell to people of other faiths, look, we have to know each other. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً. No, the verse is وَخَلَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ ذَكَرٍ وَأُنْثَى يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ ذَكَرٍ وَأُنْثَى وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. We made you tribes and nations in order to know each other. For young like you, for young people, how much do you take from your time to know the other, to learn about other civilizations, about history? We need to be open-minded, because our way of being useful within the society is not to be Muslims among Muslims. No, the best among you, خَيْرُكُمْ أَنْفَعُكُمْ لِلنَّاسِ. The best among you is the one who is the more useful for the people. The people, لِلنَّاسِ, not only Muslims.
Yes.
So you have to be open and you have to be very cautious in Maldives not to have this insular mindset. We
Yes.
are in an island, we are cut from the world. That's over. That's over. Internet
Yes.
is here, Facebook is here. Everything is in your living room. So you have to be open in a positive way and not to be colonized in the wrong way.
Yes. And what is the advice that you might give to the youth who are trying to promote the society or who are trying to get better?
Yes, that's important. You know, the starting point of our religion has to do with education, as I said, but also with discipline.
Yes.
So many people are coming to me and say, how come you are doing all what you are doing? Traveling a lot, giving lectures, teaching, writing books, all this. You know what? I'm disciplined with my time. Early in the morning, I wake up, I write and read. I do things in a way which is structured. You can't do many things if you are not structured. So
Yes.
I would say to the young people, first you have to be disciplined. Second, try in your life to think by yourself.
Yes.
Do not repeat what is said by people. Do not repeat what is said by people, even in the Quran. When you are with your parents, you have to check what your parents are saying.
Yes.
وَإِنْ جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. If your parents are asking you to do something or to think something or to do or to promote something which is unjust and they are asking you to do it, don't obey. Even your parents. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that you have to lack respect. It doesn't mean that you have to be disrespectful. No, but you have to check. The measure of everything is justice, is kindness, is honesty, is dignity. It's not my parents are saying so I do. No, I check with my parents, I check with the people I love, I check within my society. And even with your brothers and sisters in Islam, it's not because they are Muslims that they are right. Many Muslims are wrong. But the good Muslim is not the Muslim who is following the wrong Muslims or the Muslims who are wrong. The good
Yes.
Muslims is the one who is correcting the Muslims who are doing wrong. So something which here has to do with thinking by yourself, being independent. The only one on whom you rely is Allah, it's God.
Yes.
Anything else, everybody else is not somebody that you have to depend on. You are taking from, you are learning from, but you should be independent. And the last thing that I would say to the youth, the very essence of your presence on earth is to serve. So ask yourself, who are you serving? And by who you serve, you have a value. This
Yeah.
is giving you a value. What is your value on earth? If you are invisible in what you give, invisible in what you think, invisible in who you are useless. You are
Yes.
useless. And this is exactly the opposite of what Islam is all about.
Okay, so what is your view in youth getting involved in political activities? Like, I mean, the political activities in Maldives are pretty tense right now, and so what is your view in them getting involved?
We don't have a problem in Islam being involved in politics. The problem that we have is the way you are involved in politics. There is one hadith, and Imam al-Bukhari was saying it's coming in 350 chapters in the
Yes.
fiqh, in Islamic law and jurisprudence. And we all know this hadith saying, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Your actions, your deeds are through your intention or by your intention. So you have to check your intention. So when, for example, somebody is entering politics with this obsession with power, with getting at the highest level, and with no ethics, whatever all the means are used and potentially be used in order to achieve this, that's not the way we have to deal with politics. There is something
Yes.
which is an contradiction in terms between this way of dealing with politics and what Islam is asking. But now, if you are entering into politics and your intention is, I'm here to serve the community, I'm here to serve the people within the society, so this is the good politics. This is political ethics and ethics in politics in order for you to do the right thing. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, والسلام, was involved in politics. He was implementing what is in the Quran. When Aisha radiallahu anha was asked about the Prophet ﷺ, what did she say? She said, كَانَ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ. His ethics, his morality was the embodiment of the Quranic teachings. He was the Quran. So, and what do we have in the Quran? أمرهم شورى بينهم. The Muslims, they are deliberating, consulting when it comes to their affairs. What does it mean? What is this? This is politics.
Yes.
This is the way we deal with power. So we have to be involved. We cannot just say, as a Muslim, I don't care about. No, you have. If it's not you, it's going to be somebody who is going to use it, abuse it, and misuse it. So you have here to be very clear on the fact. Yes, we have to be involved in politics, but with the right intention and the right goals, the right objectives. And the right objectives is serving the people, more justice, more dignity, more freedom, and more morality within the society. This is what we want to achieve. So this discourse saying we Muslims don't have to do with politics, I'm always saying something to the Muslims who are saying, I don't care about politics. I say this is a political statement. Because in fact you are making a political statement by saying I don't want to be involved in politics. So it's very dangerous.
Yeah, so basically it's like we have to change our view in politics right now, the youth, right?
Yes, and for example, here in Maldives, it's tense, it's difficult. What we're expecting in this society is people renewing their intention and to know what are you going to do, because it's very important for anyone who has responsibility to understand that he is more exposed. It's very difficult, very difficult. When you have power to monitor yourself, it's much more difficult than when you don't have power.
Yeah.
So anyone who is involved in politics should have people around him or her, helping him or her to remain on the right path, to renew the intention of serving and not to be served, to use power for the people, not to use people for my own power.
And when giving dawah to other people, what do you think youth should most focus on? I mean, like, when giving dawah, what is the techniques and tricks that we have to use on the people, on the minds of other people?
So that's a good question, and I would straight away answer to your question by saying we don't need tricks, and we don't need, what was the other word that you used?
Techniques.
Techniques. No. This da'wah is not about this. Come to the Quran.
Yes.
The Quran is saying something which is clear. ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن. 4 things are said here and 3 means. ادعو إلى سبيل ربك. Call the people to the way of God. How? بالحكمة, wisdom. Which means what? Before even speaking, before even saying I'm a Muslim, before even calling the people to Islam, your wisdom should be the first way of calling the people. So in fact, the best way to spread around da'wah, it's exactly what is in the other verse of the Quran, which is وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ. We made you the nation of the middle path for you to be witness to the truth before people, to be witnesses. The first da'wah, it's for you to be a witness. And how are you going to be a witness? Your behavior, your morality, the way you deal with the people, your kindness, the fact that you serve the people.
Yes.
I'm always saying to Muslims, stop talking about Islam and be better Muslims. But what the way we are doing it? So we are not good Muslims and we keep on talking about Islam. But our behavior and our statements are in contradiction.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we are expecting from young Muslims is to try to be witnesses. The second, it's الموعظة الحسنة. The موعظة الحسنة is to speak the truth, is to speak for the good. Many people, they want to speak good Arabic, they want to speak good English, they want to speak your language in a good way, but they are using the good way to make money, to have a status within the society, not to serve. Here, الموعظة الحسنة is to talk to the people, be a gift to the people, talk to them in the best way. Look, Allah Azza wa Jal sent Musa wa Harun to Fir'aun.
Yeah.
And what did he tell him? What did he tell him? He told them, both of them, وَقُلَا لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى. You have to use the softest, the kindest words. Speak to this guy who is saying, I am God on earth. He was a tyrant, he was a despot, but they had to speak the best way, in a soft way. Why? Because the way you speak, it's important. What we are expecting from young Muslims is stop using slang, language, stop being vulgar, just use the right words, speak in the right way. So once again, you should not say, I am a Muslim, or put here, I am a Muslim, or put here, proud to be a Muslim. No, it's the way you speak with this soft way of speaking, this respectful way of speaking, the right words when you speak. So all this, it's important. And then, in your discussion with the people, always show respect.
Yes.
So I would say to the young people, don't insult. لا تسبوا الذين يدعون من دون الله فيسبوا الله عدوا بغير علم. Don't insult what they are believing in instead of God. They will end up insulting Allah without knowing. So you are responsible of the reaction. So this is where wisdom, right words, and the right way to speak. Look at this. Behavior, the substance of what you say, the way you say. Everything is here. This is da'wah. This is da'wah. Da'wah is not to use tricks, it's not to use techniques, just be a Muslim. Be the good example. Be a witness. This is what we want. In school, let the people look at you and say, why is he or why is she behaving like that? And they will find the answer because you are a Muslim. Let them find the answer about Islam when they see you being a good Muslim. Don't put Islam before you and then they see Islam and then they come to you and say, wow, there is a contradiction here. A nice Islam, a bad behavior.
So, in conclusion, what do you want to tell the youth the most right now? Because looking at the society in the Maldives, the youth's behavior is pretty peculiar. So what do you want to tell them?
I would want to tell them, look, you know, I came in these islands and I met many people here. And many people, they have the impression, because they are in the islands, they are far from everything, that in fact they have no real role to play.
Yes.
Maldives is small and the world is big.
Yes.
But remember, everything started in Islam with the Prophet ﷺ and his family and his companions. They were few people, and they changed the world. So what I would say to the young people is, educate yourself and try from where you are never to nurture the victim mentality and saying, we are the victims, the world doesn't like the Muslims, the West is criticizing Islam. No. You know, there is an African say which is quite right. We start throwing stones to the trees when the trees bear fruits. It means that there is something. Why all these people are talking about Islam now? Because something is happening. Islam, day in, day out we speak about Islam. Why? Yes. Because the people are scared. We have the responsibility, and the young in the Maldives have this responsibility to get more education and to become subject, not victims. You know the difference between the subject and the victims? The victims are the object of the perception of the people. Yeah. The subject are deciding for themselves. So we want the youth to decide for themselves, not to be dependent, to try to get the right education, to avoid all these addictions from drugs to movies to fashion to music. You don't have a problem with this, but you have to choose what is right. Yes. And then you go your way. Then you build something. Then you ask yourself, before becoming an adult, in which way am I going to be useful on this earth? Through my knowledge, through my behavior, through my activities, through my profession, through the way I'm going to deal with people. I might only have a smile, but Allah, the Prophet ﷺ is saying this smile is a sadaqah. This is what can bring you to the Jannah. So even smiling, even saving a dog brought somebody to Jannah. Yes. So if this happened in history, there is no details with our face. Even the details are big things. if we think with our heart and not only as capitalists with our mind and the money and the quantity.
Yes.
So I would say to the youth, give preference to the quality of your life and not the quantity of your money, the quality of your friendship, not the quantity of the people you know, and use power to serve, and don't be obsessed with power to abuse the people and to use it in the wrong way. So it's the path towards peace that is needed in Islam. Reconcile yourself with your heart, with your mind, even with your body. I would like to say to the young people, be careful with your body. You have to work out. You have to train your mind. You have to train your heart. Everything has to do with training in our life. So the right training for the right goals, the right objectives, which means you belong to God.
Yes.
And to God you will surely return.
Well, to sum up, I think, in my view, if we follow the Quran and the Hadith, the Sunnah of the Prophet, I think we will do everything right, isn't it?
No, that's true. If we rely on the Quran and the Sunnah, the problem here is that when you read the Quran during Ramadan,
Yes.
It's what we call the spiritual reading, al-qira'ah al-ta'abbudiyya. It's the way you worship Allah. It's you can take the Quran, you come here, you sit in front of nature, you have nature, and this is helping your heart to be lifted towards Allah and to feel that He is close to you. Now when it comes to rules, when it comes to the objectives, when it comes to the priorities, it's not as easy as that. So you might need a sheikh, you might need a religious authority, you might be yourself educated to understand what are the priorities. So how do you follow the Quran and how do you follow the Prophet ﷺ? You also need to get some knowledge, because if you read some verses of the Quran, they can be misleading.
Yes.
Of course, if you take the verse of the Quran saying وَاقْتُلُوهُمْ حَيْثُ تَقِبْتُمُوهُمْ, kill them wherever you find them, you can end up with what is happening in Syria, ISIS, Daesh, and people saying you can't. And these people have nothing to do with the true essence of our religion. These people are distorting our religion, and we need to say this to the youth here, because some are attracted to internet and they go there, they think that they are going to be saved and this is the shortcut to Jannah. No, that's not our religion. Remember that one sheikh said once, it's very difficult to die in the way of God, but it's much more difficult to live in the way of God, because it takes effort. So I would say here that we have to be very cautious not to take the Quran, to read one verse and to go for it. No, the Quran, as to the principles and the objectives, is a science. You need to be knowledgeable. And the Hadith exactly the same. You need to know what you are talking about. So to our youth, we want to tell them, be careful not to take the Quran, read 2 or 3 verses and think that you are alim. No, you are an ignorant, as long as you don't get the global message of Islam. And this is something which is very important. But at the end, you are right.
Yes.
This is our light. This is our way. This is our path. We have to follow it, but with open minds, with clear understanding, with a clear vision, and with priorities, not to confuse everything, because we are following the Quran without the mind. There is a contradiction in terms. The Quran does not speak to ignorant minds.
Yes.
You have to get this light, you have to get this understanding, you have to get the right path in order to follow it.
Yes.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Sheikh, today we are here at Thundi. We call this place Thundi. It's the biggest beach in the island, and we enjoy here a lot. So what do you think of the environment here?
You know, that's a very important question. The Prophet ﷺ once was crying during the whole night until Bilal radiallahu anhu came to him. And this was because he got during the night a very important verse.
Yes.
إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب. In the creation of the heavens and earth, in the alternation of day and night, there are signs for those who are full of insight. Meaning, look at nature. This is a book. This is a book.
Yes.
And Maldives got one book, which is the Quran, and there is a second book, which is nature, the creation. So all these are full of science here. And we look at this, there is a sense of eternity and infinity here. And the sounds, the waves, the sand, all this is just reminding us of the essence. Just before this program, I just put something on my Facebook for all the followers that when I am, and I took a picture of this by saying, look at this. Everything is there. Everything remains. And I was referring to the verse of the Quran, كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. And everything on earth is going to fade. Everything is going to disappear except the one. So you have here in nature, in the environment, signs of His presence, meaning also that we Muslims, we should be at the forefront of all the struggle to protect the environment.
Yes.
Against everything, the climate change, the destruction of the environment, we should be at the forefront because this has to be preserved, because these are signs of Allah's presence. We have to remember this, and just to come in your islands to see this, it's a gift. And I want to thank Him first, Allah, and you for this invitation and helping us and providing me this opportunity to be here and to look at this fantastic environment.
You're most welcome. And we hope you will be back sometime again and give us a lot of advice. I mean, like today we have known a lot of things that we haven't. I'm sure all the people who will be watching this video will also get a lot of information or many clues about how we should live and how we should improve, how we youth should improve our community and change this community in an Islamic way. So once again, Sheikh, Jazakallah khair, and thank you very much for coming to us. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I only fear my Lord Allah. I only fear Allah. I only fear my Lord Allah. I only fear my Lord Allah. I only fear Allah. I only fear my Lord 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 Allah. I only fear Allah. I only fear my Lord Allah. I only fear my Lord Allah. I only fear my Lord Allah. Only Allah.